Hey everyone, glad you're here with us today. So many of us struggle with a lot of different things when it comes to our time. How do you manage? How do you get everything done in the day? Some days it feels like there's not enough time. Well, I'm excited to welcome onto the program today Lee Cockerell. He is a man that knows a little bit about time management. He wrote the book Time Management Magic and formerly an executive with Disney. And I know he spent a number of years with Hilton and with Marriott. And he's here to talk to us about how you can do a better job of that, specifically how you can have magic in the management of your time. Lee, so good to have you with us today. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the speakers and not necessarily those of GEB America, Oral Roberts University, or their employees. This program is not intended to offer investment, financial, medical, legal, or any other advice. Viewers should consult a subject matter professional regarding any such matters.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here. Well, that's a subject that everybody needs. Even people who've really got it organized need it more. Today,
Absolutely.
we're living in a time where everything's coming at us twice as fast, and we got our private life and our wife and our mother-in-law's flying in to Saturday, and we got to get the pizza and pick the kids, go to the soccer game, check with our broker, and on and on and on and on. And it's quite different than it was back in the day. I was working at Marriott at the time. My boss calls one day, and he said, "We're going to a time management seminar. 2 days." I said, 2 days? I don't care to go to 2 days. Man, I got enough work here to last for the rest of my life. And he said, "No, we're going." So our team went, and it was really one of those, you're glad you went, because it really opened my eyes to that you're not born disorganized. You become that way, and it's just like any class. You can learn to do it, and it's like taking a math class or a history class. It's a learned thing. And after that class, I started implementing what I learned, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But after I was so excited about it because it changed my life pretty dramatically, because I used to work till late at night and go in early in the morning, Saturdays, Sundays. My wife was always not happy about my work schedule and stress and how it
Yeah.
affects your sleep and, deadlines. Especially when you work for somebody like Marriott or Disney, they want it faster, more, and now. So I started implementing it, and I got really good at it. And I started teaching it. I think I taught it to everybody that ever worked for Marriott at Disney too. And basically, the concept is very clear. You've got to wake up in the morning. You got to have a planner of some kind. A lot of people are using electronic now, or I still use my paper day planner because I like to write things down. And in the book, it shows copies of that and how to think about using it. But every day I get up in the morning and I go for coffee, and I would take 15, 20 minutes and just sit there and think, what should I be working on today in one of the areas of the responsibility I have? And I
Yeah.
think, first of all, people can jot down what they believe their responsibility is. It's, certainly we know it's our family and our job, and then we know, well, what about your finances? What about your parents be getting older? What about your retirement? What about going back to school, or you having to learn something so you can get the next job? On,
Hmm.
on and on and on. And I think when people sit down and really list them, they'll find they have 10, 12, or 15 responsibilities that they haven't thought about. And the key is, are you putting enough time against those responsibilities so they turn out well? So,
Right.
calling your mom, that's a good. That makes you feel better, and she gets excited. And family, even when a family is all focused and together, your whole life is better, calm, collected. So I go through and I put down the personal things I need to do today. Maybe it's call my grandson or get my wife a Valentine's card, or anything you can think of during that quiet time of what's coming up in the next week or 2 weeks. What should I do now that I won't have to worry about it till later, but I want to get it done right now and get it over with. And it becomes a system of its own. Once you start, you'll figure out new ways to use it and things to remind you that you need to take your car in to get the oil changed, and you need to have your house inspected, and the air conditioner's broken down. I mean, it just never ends. And every time my wife tells me something I need to do, I write it in there. That's why I've been married 58 years. Uh, And I just write it in there. And every time I think of something, I have it in my pocket all the time. So if I go to the fridge and we're out of something, I jot it in there. Like on Wednesday, I get a list going of what we need from the store, and I add that. And when I go to the store, there it is. Even if I don't plan to go to the store and I'm just out and about and I stop, I still have it with me, and I just run in there and take care of things. Planning time is really the name of the game. We all know. Everybody knows how to plan because everybody plans their vacation, and they get the hotels and the airline and they get everything set up and they all the things they want to do. People are very good at doing things that make them happy. But it's doing the hard things is what gets people in trouble. Not having that talk with somebody that works for you, it's not performing, not sitting down and having a conversation, not making a hard decision, not exercising because it's hard, not having your annual physical, and then something happens because you haven't been in 2 years, and just all the things that if you get organized and think and plan, which is easy to do, it's not very hard. A lot of things never happen because you took care of them before they
Yeah.
happen. Somebody said, buy a fire extinguisher before your house burns down, not after. And get a treadmill or a trainer and start working out before you have to have bypass surgery. It really, when you think about it, have a good financial advisor that keeps you on the right road unless you're an expert in it, and then find people to do what you're not very good at. I don't really do it. I got my computer guy here this morning still trying to teach me things that I should know by now, but he knows it, he fixes it, and it's
Yeah.
worth my money to pay him. And now he left, and it's all fine.
So let me ask you this, because I'm just curious. When I was thinking back to the time that I got to see you speak, you talked, and I see the mouse that you worked for there behind you. When you were at Disney, what I know you taught, and you had like a strategic initiative where you taught the Disney cast members about this. How was that? Because it was kind of landmark, right? I mean, nobody was really doing time management in that way.
I think everywhere you go, you'll find that people are not doing it. Uh, I do a lot of speaking now, and I focus on this subject, and that's where I get people say, "Wow, that's what I." Because people just, what happens in our life if we got a bunch of stuff to do, we pick the easy thing, and we lie to ourselves. I tell you, your brain lies to you. It'll do tomorrow, or I'll get to it, or you'll see a good example of it when tax season comes, April 15th. You'll
It's
see the
true.
line of cars at the post office, and on Christmas Eve. That's another time you see men out shopping
Yeah.
and you got to learn to. And once you read the book, I really believe you will understand. Oh, I can do this. I think a lot of people just believe that's just the way it is. Life
Hmm.
stuff, and I think what force is nothing's the way it is. It's the way you let it be.
Yeah.
If you want to learn to ride a bicycle, you get on the bike. And if you want to learn a subject like AI right now, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got it and I use it and I'm using it. And
Hmm.
I had my guy go over it with me this morning, tell me how to use it and how to put the documents in Portuguese or other languages by taking a photo. And I mean, the cumulative. And uh, you get to where you become an expert in it because you use it. And it's kind of like you just got to. Somebody said, "How do you do it?" You just start. You start, read it. You can read the book. You think, get yourself a planner, and
Yeah.
then commit yourself to every. And you can do it before you go to bed at night, 10 or 15 minutes while you're sitting on the
Hmm.
couch, plan your day for tomorrow. Or you can do it in the morning when you get up, whatever works for you. And yeah, you'll save money, you'll save time, you'll save your marriage, maybe. You'll save a lot of things because people, you get in trouble for what you don't know and what you didn't do. And not
Yeah.
many, well, some people get in trouble for what they do, criminals. But mainly, we get in trouble in many ways because of something we didn't do, we should have, we knew we should have.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
mental and exercise and health and good relationships, keeping in touch with people, all those kinds of things that we all believe in, but what day gets away from you. And then it's Christmas again.
Yeah.
I said there's only four ages. You're born, you're 21, you're 65, and you're dead. That's how life goes by. And I have a 57-year-old son. Where'd he come from? I have a 30-year-old grandson. What?
Yeah.
He was in my
It
arms.
just happens. Yeah.
And, and I think the best thing about this, if you suffer from anxiety, and most people do today, this will help your anxiety dramatically.
Mm.
Because when things get out of control is when your life gets turned upside down. When it's one thing after another, and you haven't taken care of it, and you know it's coming. And anxiety, I would say, is one of the biggest problems we have right now in the world. I mean, people are really worried about their health, about their family, about all the terrorist stuff going on, and politics, and you name it. And parents even have more to worry about. Kids, and that's a curse.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point about the things that you don't plan, things happen that you could have avoided, you know?
Like the guy said, if you change the oil in your car, you don't break down out there one day.
Mhm.
And if you inspect your house occasionally, you find things and get them fixed before they get worse. Like my air conditioners in Florida, you check them to make sure, because if
Yeah.
they're out in July,
Yeah.
they may find our bodies in here.
Well, we're in Oklahoma, so we know about that summer heat.
Well, I grew up there, so I worked out in the oil field as a
That's
rouse.
right. So take us back to, because I think a lot of people would love to hear a little bit. So you grew up here, like you said, you spent time back then, and then you. At what point did you kind of start on this like path to where you would be in this executive leadership?
I don't think I was ever on the path. What I did is I grew up in Oklahoma in a fairly dysfunctional family. My mother was married 5 times. I've been adopted twice. I'm on my third name, Lee Cockerell. When I was 16, my name changed, and I tell my wife I'm totally normal. She said, but so I went to college for 2 years because her fourth husband had money, and went to Oklahoma State. I was a terrible student. Education was never focused on in our family. I would just breeze through, and I will say Ardmore High School just kind of passed everybody in and out. And so I dropped out. I went in the Army, and that was
Mm,
that. You talk about I was 18, 19 years old. That discipline you get in the Army. You learn there's a way to do things. There's rules. There's regulations.
yeah,
You're cooking, you do it by a recipe card. There's a system. And, companies have systems they run their businesses by, and most people don't have a system to run their life, which is really your main business.
yeah,
So when I got out of the Army, I went to Washington, D.C., got a job. A guy in the Army we met, and he took me with him, and I got a job as a waiter at the Washington Hilton up on Connecticut Avenue. That's where Reagan got shot back in '81, coming out of that
wow,
hotel. And I was a good waiter. And I tell people the reason I was a good waiter is because I didn't have a college degree. So I thought I better have a good attitude. And I would tell you the two things that I think are most successful for you if you want to be successful. Number one, attitude, no question. Second, reliability. And that's what the time makes you the most reliable person. You do what you say you're going to do. You keep your promises. You get back to people, and people just talk about you behind your back. Can you believe this guy? He always gets back to me. He called me back. He picked up his phone. The report was due Friday. He got it in Thursday night. All of a sudden, your reputation, you'll get promoted. You'll get moved up. Your ability is one. I'm sure you know a lot of people today. You're pretty sure they're not going to do what they say they're going to do.
yeah,
And that's what I learned and I was always had a good attitude. The one man at 6 in the morning, I say, yeah, okay. Come back at midnight, okay. And next thing I knew, I got promoted.
yeah,
It's just because people don't know what you don't know, but they know what they can see.
yeah.
They can see reliability. When you think about it, think of everybody you know, and think about those two things. You go, oh, there's a few that yeah, I love to work with them. And there's probably quite a few, including relatives, you don't want to work with.
Mhm.
Oh, it's really a concept of, I mean, responsibility. I tell people if you can't make hard decisions and have hard conversations with people, number one, don't have children because that's your life.
It's
And
true.
don't be in charge of people's lives, and don't, because that's it. I said we need less bosses and more teachers. Just teach people how to be more successful. And that's what reading does. And I kind of came with a theory that it's education, experience, and exposure is what makes you who you are. Exposure, you travel, you meet people from all over, you get good experiences. And I can tell you, looking back, working in that oil field in Oklahoma in the summer, 105, a little roustabout, following a welder around. He was cutting into gas lines. I was sure we were about to die. And then I got a job as a waiter, and then I had a job as a driver in a drugstore delivering prescriptions when I was in high school. I worked in a lumber yard unloading boxcars of lumber and cement. And then I was a waiter, and then I did this. And then when I left Oklahoma, I'd never been anywhere. And
Mm,
I've been to 48 countries. I do work all over the world. And so it happens gradually, depending how much you're willing to put into your education. And I'm not saying college particularly, learning and how much
yeah,
how much
always learning.
you really pay attention to the experience. And somebody said the other day, you say what you learned in that experience. And certainly in the Army, be on time, do what you.
Mhm.
And third is exposure. Do you understand the world, the people of the world, the religions, all the issues that everybody's upset about these days? Because when you get to know the people, you don't have any problems. I tell you, travel is the best way to get over bigotry and racism. I mean, I told somebody the other day, I said, I'm just going to tell you right now, I have a friend named Mohammed. Don't get scared.
You're right, travel, I mean, you go into other places in the world and you realize it changes your perspective.
Oh my God, I've been in China, Japan, Russia, India. Man, people say, well, you could read about it. You can't read about it. You got to go there.
Experience.
So we got to encourage people to do more of that, especially when they're young. Get exposure. Uh, it'll give you more courage to take risks, to take a new job, move to New York, move to New Orleans, move to,
Yeah,
graduated from Ardmore, everybody moved to Dallas
right.
or
The
Oklahoma
big city.
or Tulsa. Yeah. And yeah, it's just
So you were a waiter in DC, and then were you promoted there at Hilton, or how did the progression kinda happen?
yeah, I left for the summer because it was not busy in conventions there and the banquet waiters. And I went to Atlantic City, got a job in a restaurant as a waiter, an Italian restaurant. And after summer, I went back to DC and I was going to be a waiter again. I also saw they had an application for a clerk in the accounting department. And I thought, I applied for it. I thought I can do that and work as a waiter at night. And I got turned down because I didn't have experience, they told me. Well,
Mm,
3 months later, they came back and gave it to me because it was paid so little, nobody would take it. And I took it and I started learning. My boss was great. He started teaching me all how to do the food and beverage accounting and inventories and purchasing. And about 6 months later, he left and they gave me his job. And I was,
wow.
whoa, that's how I got started. So now I've got that business side of learning and I've got the service side. And then a guy comes by one day and they're starting a whole new training program in Hilton Hotels in this food and beverage accounting. And I was there and I got to go to that to Chicago, go to the training. Next thing I know, I came back. They promoted me to Chicago. Then I did a good job there. They promoted me to Waldorf Astoria in New York. I'm going like,
Wow.
New York. I did. I was terrified. New York is very intimidating when you first go.
Well, you're a kid from Ardmore, right?
Yeah, I was going like, "What?" And, then from there, I got promoted to Los Angeles. I left Hilton after that. I had a boss I didn't care for, and it was really my day off was Thursday. I had no time off. I quit. I joined a little company in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, doubled my salary, and got fired 90 days later. So I didn't have a job for 3 months. Finally got a job with Marriott, and I started there as a director of restaurants, and I became the director of food and beverage. Then I got promoted to open the Chicago Marriott on Michigan Avenue. And from there, I became regional vice president of food and beverage. And then eventually became the senior vice president of all food and beverage planning for the company worldwide. And that's why experience, because
Experience.
I knew the accounting and I knew that I'd been a waiter, I'd been a cook, I'd been in the kitchen, I'd washed it. I knew the business. And I think I told my son when he graduated from Boston University, he didn't know what he wanted to do. And I said, go to a good company and stay 5 years because they'll train you. And if
Mm,
you don't like it, you can move on. You'll be 25, 26 years old. And I said, learn the business. They tried to put him in a staff role in HR or something. I said, no, go into operations where they have customers, employees, and have to make a profit. Learn the whole business. And that's
mhm.
what I had done. That's what he did. And he became the vice president of the Magic Kingdom. And he worked for Disney 26 years. And that on the ground experience where
Yeah,
you relate to those people that are really suffering or living on the edge or barely making it and washing dishes, it it makes you a different person. And I think I'm not going to say I say most Oklahomans are very down to earth and treat people well and stop and help people on the road, but they don't in
sure.
everywhere. They don't everywhere.
No.
And so that exposure and that experience really started just accumulates. And So I just work hard to keep learning. I read every night for an hour before I go to sleep, just trying to keep up with what's going on in the world, which is hard, and trying to understand what's going on and how it will affect me and my life and my job.
Right. Well, you make a good point about you're learning AI. I mean, I know people that are like, I don't need to know that. That's something that, I don't want to mess with. But you always have this inquisitiveness to stay engaged.
Hey, AI is $20 a month, and it's fun to mess around with it. I had a speech with for a orthodontist group in down in where was I? San Antonio, I guess, a couple of months ago. I don't know anything about orthodontists, so I put in AI. I said, please print me a document that shows how an orthodontist can run an excellent practice for his employees and for his patients. Boy, it was unbelievable. And then I edited it, took some out, put some things in. They
Hmm.
loved it. I mean, and I just with my guy last night, he was teaching me how to it's so easy once you get started. You just keep putting in there what you want. Give me a report on this and I would like to know what it was in 2016 and I'd like to know this and that and I'd like you to
Yeah.
put it in Portuguese and so
Well,
it's
it's
a
becoming such a normal part of our lives. It really is.
we have some cleaners for our house and they've been kind of not doing a great job. So my wife, I said, we need to give them a checklist because they forget. I put in there, please make a checklist for me for 2 cleaners being here for 4 hours, 5 bedrooms, or 2 baths, and three, and this. I mean, we
Yeah.
do dust, do this once a week, do that, because when you go into AI, it's going in after all the information in the world that's
Yeah,
available, and it knows things you don't know, or you
for
never.
sure.
So it is. I tell people it's crazy if they don't try it for $20, and you can
Yeah.
cancel if you don't like it. But
Well, it's funny because, we do a show every Tuesday. We release a show, and we have had, I don't know how many shows in a row now this year where the subject has veered towards AI. We had Simon T. Bailey on, somebody that you know. And
yeah,
Simon's like talking about the importance of embracing and learning AI because you need to be aware of it because of the fact that it's a good way to not have a job in the future if you ignore it.
I would say for people working right now, they ought to be thinking about doing something else if AI could really come after them soon and take their job. At least start learning something else right now. And I'm sure there's people who can advise them that your job will be in jeopardy, that kind of work. So maybe you want to start to learn to be an electrician or you want to start learning to do something else because, the world doesn't care too much about you.
Yeah, doesn't know you.
Just keeps going.
So what?
And by the way, Copilot on Microsoft is free. It's
Yeah.
I Google AI. I mean, there's so many so they don't have to spend a lot of money on it.
So one of the things that I know that when it comes to time management, so coming back to that, you put together the list. What is kind of like an obvious thing that maybe people miss in the process, or a next step?
Well, I think first of all, I separate personal things I got to do today and tomorrow and business things in two different categories. And because sometimes you work at home, you do business things, and sometimes you'd have to do personal things because it's got a close deadline. So you might be at work and have to do it, make a reservation or do that and that. And then we put a priority on it. What's urgent? So it shows you how to put a little asterisk next to the urgent things. These have to be done by noon today because they're urgent, or it's gonna cost me more. Or I told the customer I'd call them back before noon, or what
Yeah,
you kind of,
so important.
and then you mark other things important, and then other things vital. Vital are the big ones, the things that might take you a year to work on, but when you're finished, you get a big payoff. You might say you're going to start a project to train all your employees over the next 6 months, and you start on that and a little bit, and every day you think about what do I need to do today on that, and tomorrow, and the next day, and next thing 6 months from now, turn around, and you got all great employees that are trained, know what they're doing, and your profit goes up, and turnover goes down, and there's a payoff for all of these things that are not always seen.
Yeah,
I told somebody distractions are the enemy today. People are not getting ahead in their life. They're not doing the right thing because they're distracted on social media. They're distracted by the couch, by TV, by taking a
yeah,
nap, by drinking too much, all the distractions in the world. And you got to understand they're there and they're like cocaine. I mean, you got to push yourself through having a planned system. I love routine. I'm a big fan of routine. I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I do this, I make coffee for my wife. I go to my coffee place, I do my planning. On Monday and Thursday, I do strength training with a guy, 420. I got to be there. It's scheduled. I have an appointment with my cardiologist every 6 months, so I'm still around. and and my dentist, when I walk out after 6 months cleaning, I make the appointment right before I go.
Yeah.
So I never have to go back and do things, waste time on phones. Half the time you try to call people, nobody answers, you can't get through. My God, you waste when you sit back and think about how much time is wasted, other people waste your time every day because I mean it's tragic. And with technology it's getting worse because now you can't talk to a person. And my wife and I had to change an appointment, one of her physical therapists downtown. We had a conflict and we tried for 2 days to get them to call us, so we didn't. They never. We had to drive downtown to the office. I mean, give me a break in this
Yeah.
day and age. But again, people have too much coming. They can't.
Yeah. Well, you make a really great point, and I think that people waste time. That something what you just said is something that I've really started making sure I do is that if I go to an appointment and they go, "Can we make your next appointment?" I don't just go, "No, I'll figure it out." I go, "Yes," and I get my calendar out on my phone and we look at and they'll be like, "Okay, I have this." And I go ahead and put it in there because and then I make sure I put a reminder on it because you're right, you'll forget and then you'll call and you either won't get anybody or worse, you call in and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing available
Well,
till April."
the next danger date is coming up for all the men who didn't make reservations for dinner somewhere to take their wife, and they're going to call on the 14th in the morning, and the people are going to laugh because they're all full. They can't get in.
There's nothing funnier than the morning of Valentine's to go to your area drugstore and look at the card aisle
I
because there will
love
be 25 guys in the
CVS.
card aisle.
CVS is open
Yes.
24 hours. It'll
And
say
everybody is not talking to each other because men don't talk to each other like in that situation. It's like going into a public restroom. Men don't talk. And
it's
they're looking at cards and they're like, everybody's in the same boat. And I just kind of, it makes you chuckle.
and when you're not organized, your day gets interrupted because all of a sudden something happens you didn't plan for, and then you got to stop. So this is a great subject for people. I tell you, it'll change people's lives. It changed mine. I really think time learning how to organize myself and get things done was probably the number one thing that helped my career advance. Because when you think about it, people want you for what you can do for them. That's why you hire. Lee can do this. I don't know where he learned it, how he does it, but that's all they're looking at.
And that helps you be reliable because you keep track of things and you don't let things slip through the cracks.
And you got an alarm on your phone now you can set too. There's no, with all the stuff we got in our pocket, there anybody that's late, it's your own
I
fault.
tell I tell the phone, I'll be driving down the road and I'll tell Siri, I'll be like, "Hey, remind me at 3 o'clock to call this person." Because I'm driving and it's like because I thought of it right then. And what will happen is I'll think of it tomorrow. And I'll be like, "Oh,
Almost
I should have called that person. I should have."
called do it now. When you think about it, write it
Yep.
down. And when yeah, I think people just don't realize how much happier they're going to be in their life if they can get organized. And a lot of people don't realize how unhappy they are right now because of stress of
Yeah, stress and anxiety.
and it's one thing after another, let me tell you.
So the book, for those of you that are commuting, I mean you're just listening to this, I have a show note there for the book Time Management Magic by Mr. Lee Cockerell, and we've just enjoyed having you on. I saw you many years ago give a talk, and I was going through my books and using the book as part of a college course to help everybody be organized. And I'm like, I need to reach out and ask you to come on and chat.
And let me tell you something. This needs to be taught in high school, at
I
least
agree.
middle school. And this is why you see a lot of men not doing well in school. They go to college, they flunk out. 50% of them don't make it through the first year because they're not organized. They don't have a study program, meeting other kids at 7 o'clock to study together, booking their early classes so you get up and you go. And next thing you get behind 50 pages in your reading, and then you get just another 50, and then you're next thing you know, you flunked the course. It's just set. It's as if you're 18 and first year in college. You really need some support of
Yeah,
your mother's not there.
that's true. That's very true. Yeah, the experience of having to do your laundry for the first time and figure
Uh,
out what you're gonna eat and, being in charge of your schedule.
that's why college kids gained 25 pounds the first year, and they haven't changed their sheets in who knows how long.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I wanna thank you again. We are always happy to hear about how we can do better and create routine. And the book is Time Management Magic. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your winter and spring. I know you're not in a region that gets too much bad weather that in the wintertime.
We got it last week, but it's back to nice.
Nice. Yeah, it doesn't stick around long in Florida, that's for sure. Well,
Had a
Lee,
hard
thank you so much.
hard freeze here. Hard freeze.
And that, you know what? The fruit growers don't like that.
Well, I don't like the bushes look in my yard right now either. Okay, my friend.
All
You
right.
take care of
Thank you,
yourself.
Lee, for joining us. And for those of you, be sure you share, like, and post and reshare this with somebody that might help for sure. Until next time, I'm Dave Groves saying goodbye for now.